2. Welcome out. We are in Catonsville, where we usually do Baltimore positive. Nothing more Baltimore positive than being at Jennings Cafe tonight with the first place Baltimore Ravens. All right. And a spirited crowd. See? I told Matt Skura, I said, man, Catonsville is like the tenderloin of Ravens fandom here on the Beltway. Don Moeller couldn't be here tonight, but Dennis is going to sit in. I got Tony out here with Thriller shirts. Luke's out here tonight. Man, we get together with you beginning last year in this sort of journey we've been on now. And from the minute that play happened, and I'm going to ask you to sort of helmet cam what your view of it was. I think Mark Ingram had a great perspective of it. 13-3, first place, one of the greatest plays we've ever seen. Like, literally an instant classic, you know, for everybody that was on the field to say, we had 4th and 29 here that set up a Super Bowl a number of years ago. Eric Weddle still says it's 4th and 28, but we've had that argument. But, I mean, what an incredible thing. I mean, you feeling the energy of all this when a guy like me says, hey, come on out to Jennings in Catonsville. We'll have a good time tonight, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, the win streak has really built up a lot of energy. You can feel it going into the facility every day. You know, guys are excited to get back to work and, prepare for the new team this week. So for the Texans, that's going to be our biggest challenge for Sunday. And, yeah, I mean, I think you feel it in the community. You feel it in the facility with the coaches and everyone else. So, I think winning helps all. Winning cures all.
Feels good to win. I'll tell you that. You know, I mean, I would say for you guys and the closeness and what I've seen you guys sort of go through here with this metamorphosis from Joe to Lamar, from last year to this year, from last year's offense to where you wanted to be. I mean, the head coach of the football team got together with everybody in the media the day training camp started and said, revolution, revolution. And we were all like, hell's John talking about here, you know? And I think, Luke, you could speak to this on the stats side because Luke, as you know, is the stats nerd amongst us, that this is a stats nerd's dream. I think it's so unique that it's been drawn up the way it's been drawn up to be successful.
It really is. And, Matt, it's going to sound weird because we're talking about an organization that's won 2 Super Bowls in a little over 20 years. But it's very rare territory for the Ravens to be getting number 1 in the power rankings kind of attention, being that attention where you're on a 5-game winning streak, you're talking about a first-round bye. Is the biggest challenge for you guys to block all of that out in the same way that when things aren't going well and everyone's saying the sky is falling, but is the biggest challenge just to be focused on that week's game?
Yeah, definitely. I think so. And it's definitely tough for guys who are in their rookie first or even second year to really kind of block out all the noise because it is really easy to be on your phone, social media, people texting you, calling you.
I was like that on Monday. On Monday, it was like, how many stories can I find? How many? Wall Street Journal, Lamar's God, New York Times, Lamar's I mean, literally, they're –
yeah.
I've been here a long time, okay? And, look, I mean, I got my Thriller shirt on right now. I think, what do you make of all – does this seem mean anything? Are you too young for Michael Jackson or –
I mean,
do you know what this is?
Yeah. I just
you just didn't have it on LP or CD like I did.
It's Michael Jackson. Yeah. He knows Michael Jackson. Come on.
Yeah,
he's not 5.
I don't know what these kids know today. You know, it just occurred to me, Lamar. How many people know Lamar? How many people remember the first Ravens game in the crowd here at Catonsville? I remember the first Ray Lewis, right? That game. Lamar Jackson wasn't on the planet that day. Okay, he was born the next year. So that just weirds me out a little bit, right? And I know you think of me as being young and cool like you guys, but when you've seen it this long, and we've seen, to his point, I remember Ray Lewis's first game. I remember the promise of what Jamal Lewis was the best running back. We've had Sizzle was the best player in the game for a period of time. Joe was the best player for the 5 weeks that it mattered. You know, we've had sensational, incredible things around here. I've been on the radio 28 and a half years, be 29 years next month. I have never compared anybody to Michael Jordan. I mean, I'm not one of those, the next Cal Ripken or the next any of that stuff. He's not the next Michael. The only reason I use a basketball guy is I don't know where the guy you would compare him to or anyone else in football that would do what this organization has done and had you guys buy in? Because you have to buy in because it's a team effort, but all of you were doing something that may have been felt a little foreign to everybody a year ago, right?
Yeah, it's just been a huge project and undertaking for everyone on the offensive side of the ball to really buy in. And I don't think it really took too long for people to buy in once they saw how explosive Lamar is on the football field, his ability to make plays on his own, really being able to throw the ball, run with it, really anything. And so, I think we're, right now in a pretty historic run. He's had a great year so far, and I think our biggest job right now is just to continue it. And no matter who the opponent is, to show that we are really good as an offense, we can play and beat the best defenses out there, and that we're just really consistent and just building up each and every week.
Matt, there were so many questions about Lamar Jackson outside the organization, but from talking to you last year when you guys were making the run, throughout the spring, throughout the summer, every single guy I talked to, they all said the same thing. This guy's special. This guy can play. This guy can pass. So from that standpoint, how surprised are you to see him in the MVP conversation in his first full year as a starter?
Yeah, it's definitely crazy. We definitely knew that he was going to take a jump because from last year he just had that experience, and rookie year for everyone is just kind of like a blur in your eyes. You're like every day it feels like something new is happening. So
like algebra was for me in 8th grade,
right?
A little bit like that.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Miss 3 days, you catch a cold. Oh my God, we're on the geometry.
For
Look
sure,
out, right?
Exactly. And so, am I surprised that he's making all these plays? Not really. Right now, I think we're honestly kind of used to it. But every week he kind of does something to build upon what he did the week prior. Like this Bengals game when he made 3 guys miss with a spin move and scored a touchdown. I was looking right there. I was like, I've never seen something like this before.
So you saw it in real time.
Yeah, I'm thinking guys blocking, you might not have caught it. You might have to go back and said, he did what? Give us a little perspective on what you see on a play like that.
Yeah, so I had blocked my guy, and I kind of looked to the left because I saw Lamar run in the corner of my eye, and I thought the play was going to be over because I saw 2-3 guys like around him. So I kind of stopped, and then next thing I know, he's spun out and like in the open field. And so I just start running because my adrenaline's going. Like I know we're about to score, but it's just kind of crazy. You kind of just go with the flow because you think if I was playing that position, I'd probably be down or caught from behind. But it's just pretty amazing to see in real time just how dynamic he is and how athletic he is.
From an offensive line perspective, and we asked Joe D'Alessandris, your offensive line coach, this during the bye week, he has to be the perfect example, the perfect teachable moment for an offensive lineman to play through the whistle because you don't know where he's going to be on a given play, whereas if you have more of a traditional pocket passer, you kind of know how the play is going to go.
Yeah, for sure. And so that's something that we definitely have in the back of our minds, like, okay, for the most part, we know Lamar's going to be, but we also know that he can make a play on his legs. And so for me, it's really, and I think for the whole O-line, it's just blocking our assignments, using our technique, and really not changing anything that we would normally do. And if something happens to break down or there's a free runner for like a blitz or whatever, we kind of know that Lamar can make a play or make someone miss in the pocket. And so that's definitely a luxury that we have, knowing that Lamar likes to move around the pocket a bit and can get outside of the pocket and scramble to make plays. So
you're one split second if you're blocking on the left side and he's with you from him being gone one way or another, right? Like what's happening behind you, you can't be concerned with, but it must be like you feel the wind go by you to some degree,
Yeah.
or you're waiting for it to happen on one side of you or
Right.
the other. Because it's not going to happen up your back, right?
Yeah, you hope not.
You got to have some peripheral there. He's going one way or another, right?
For sure, and a lot of times you just got to feel where the defensive lineman's like trying to go. So like the first Bengals game, I was blocking Geno Atkins, and him and I were just kind of like at the line of scrimmage, and he kind of just made a move to my right, and I just kind of held on for a split second, then boom, Lamar's like gone right by me. So
He said held on. He didn't say hold. Okay, just
yeah. You got to make sure you got to like blatantly like show that you've let go.
See, I always think that's the admission of guilt. Usually when I see this,
Put the
I'm
arms
like,
up, yeah.
You robbed the bank. Usually when I
Yeah.
Matt, we've spent a lot of time talking about Lamar Jackson for obvious reasons, but this offensive line, so many years, recent years, there have been injuries, there have been guys kind of shuffled in and out for performance or competition, but you guys have gone out there with the same starting five, and I'll throw Nick Boyle in there as well, kind of that pseudo sixth offensive lineman. But
throw Pat in there too. Let Pat blow him up a little bit.
But how important has that continuity been, and how much better has that offensive line been as a result of that?
Yeah, I think continuity on the offensive line is extremely important. Just really from the chemistry, the communication, when you're, in a tough environment, being able to lean on one another. And yeah, I think it's just a familiarity, just every week knowing, who the guys you have next to you are and how each of us like to play and our communication style. And the ability for us to, if a defense is giving us a different look that, we need to change, we can make that change either on the field, like during a drive, or we can come to the sideline and make that change as well. So, yeah, I mean, I think we got a pretty veteran group of guys as well that we can all lean on, especially with Marshall. When things are going good, we can kind of lean on each other. When things, aren't going so good, Marshall is good about, hey, guys, like, it's going to be all right. We got to go back out there. We just got to go one play at a time. And, usually, crazy things like that happen where you just take one play at a time and you end up scoring on a long drive. So,
well, Marshall's seen everything.
Yeah, and Marshall's been through every situation. He's won a Super Bowl. He's been through, the tough road environments and playoff spots. So, I think just all of our experiences together and just a familiarity every week just really helps us out.
Are you feeling more like a veteran now? I mean, we talked about this at the beginning of the season. So many players on that offense, either first or second year, but you are one of the more veteran guys on this team. A couple years of starting under your belt now.
Well, you're at the end of your Duke season, like, right? 10 games, right? Like,
right.
That's where that wall would be for a 20 or 21-year-old. For any even Lamar playing deeper into this season, it's not something he did at Louisville, right?
Right, exactly. And so, I do feel like a more veteran guy at this point. I think this year has really been a big year for me as far as taking the next step forward, being as far as my playing and leadership, experience, just because I think the first year playing right guard was new, but I think it really helped me develop as a player, as an all-around player. Then last year getting all of that experience with the playoff game at center was huge, and then I think that was just – those 2 years or year and a half was a huge foundation for me to like really build on for this year. And so I think my comfortability this year has really grown. I think, it just helps you out in every way. The game slows down. You're able to help out some of the younger guys. You can I can communicate with Lamar, and we can change things up a little bit more because I can handle different snap counts or different calls, reads, this and that. A lot more easily, and I can communicate it to the line effectively as well. So, it is nice being a veteran guy, and hopefully just continue to build on it for the rest of the season.
It's about growth mindset, because we always talk about the Astro Ball, and I'll have a little talk with Luke about the 2017 Astros.
Yeah.
I know Pete was talking about that with Dennis Colatzos here earlier, but the growth mindset for you. And I kid you about, first off, being a Pittsburgh sports fan, so I give him a hard time about that. But being a Dookie and being sort of a deeper thinker in all of this, the last 18 months, the evolution for you understanding what the difference between a Joe offense or traditional offense, what they had done here, versus what they wanted to do, and when Greg Roman is bringing concepts into you, and you, along with Lamar, are asked asked to identify things. And I think last time we were together up at Greenmount Station, I talked to you at length about Matt Burke and how instrumental I thought he was, that the wisdom that he brought, in the same way Marshall brings that sort of wisdom. But if Marshall was calling out defenses too and being a part of helping you identify things, that's great. But just conceptually what Greg's doing, because I think it's awesome that Lamar's historic, you guys are running the ball, we're doing all these great things, but I think that there's a part of this that Greg's been a part of for all of you, even selling John on how this is going to work, to say this will work and this can work, and every week's a different, as you said, a completely different kind of game plan for Houston than what you were looking at with New England or Cincinnati or anyone else.
Yeah, I think Greg has been doing a great job this year, and really the past couple years, because he got here in 2017?
Sure, yes. But starting to putting running concepts, right?
Yeah.
He was the running coordinator,
right. And so, for me, I think all those concepts are really exciting. And what he does a really good job of is starting simple and then building up to more complex schemes.
Algebra.
Yes.
Okay, good. I got it.
So we
I made it that far.
So we start very, 1 + 1, and then, now we're up to like calculus. And so I think that helps us because every week we can, modify our game plan, modify how we're going to attack a certain defense. And so I think that's what's helped us too,
doing it because it's there. It's like knowing the answer to the test and really understanding what you're doing. And
right.
I think conceptually, for all of you being really smart guys, and that's one of the reasons you were drafted, really athletic guys that were sort of built to power run to some degree and have that athleticism, there's not the what am I doing, it's why are we doing and how it all comes together, that when Lamar's standing in the end zone, any of you could go back and explain. Even the wide receivers, who in other cases aren't built to be blockers, right? But our guys are kind of special in that way.
Yeah, for sure. And so that just all comes through practice reps, starting in football school and OTAs when we just have T-shirts and shorts on. I mean, it's just repping over and over and over.
I like that football school. I'm going to ask you about that in the next segment.
And so, I think it just comes from practice and really being diligent and intentional about what we're practicing, why we're practicing it. And, we just see it pay off on Sundays. And that's, I think, the biggest payoff and the biggest thing that gives you excitement is, seeing the turnover or carryover from practice onto the field.
Man, you're slapping around at Duke down there in the ACC. We leave, and you're thinking, one day I'll line up with 3 Heisman Trophy winners behind me, right? I mean, that unto itself is something, and I can't wait for that package to land in the end zone, right?
Yeah, that was pretty cool because I really didn't even realize that Mark was in the game when we ran that because I just thought it was Lamar and RG3. So I think that was pretty cool. The only time I've ever been around that many Heismans is when I was in 2013. We played Jameis Winston and Johnny Manziel in the same season. So that was also pretty cool.
Yeah, some guys picked them over Lamar, but we got the thriller here today. Matt Skura, he snaps the ball to the thriller. Luke Jones is here. He's Baltimore Luke out on Twitter. Dennis is here. We're at Jennings. We threw this thing together. Big applause for Matt Skura for coming out here short notice tonight. There are a lot of great people out here. We're in Catonsville. I had a Jennings burger. I'm going to get a quesadilla. We're going to come back. We're going to continue on. Baltimore Positive becomes WNST. We are WNST.net, AM 1570. Back for more from Jennings right after this.